Welcome developers to Pykidz, a kid developer initiative. Last session we covered data types, what they mean. We looked at numeric data types, ints and floats, and we did operations on them. We looked at strings, we defined them for multiple scenarios. We did some operations on them. You might recall F strings. We then covered booleans, some basics, and we then looked at Python's strongly typed nature. We looked at how you can use casting to convert between types wherever it makes sense. Please remember that these sessions will make a lot more sense if you actually work with them. If you just watch them as a video, then they will not be of much fun or much learning. You should open up the Python shell and practice the things I am doing here so that you can learn with me. Now that we have gotten started with the Python language, let us look at the things that will help you to build some programs with some interaction. In these set of sessions, we will learn the following things. Get user input, that is, get input from the user as part of running the program. This will be session 1, part 1, right? Then we will also look at, in the next video, we will look at moving from the REPL or the shell to storing your code in a file. That will be video 2. Third, we will look at how to import a module and use it in your program. I will be covering each of these topics in separate videos so that it is easier for you to work with them. This is based on a feedback from my daughter. Once we learn these things, we will build, that's another way of saying write code, a couple of programs which can be executed directly from the terminal. We won't need to get into the shell for this, the Python shell I mean. We will discuss more on this later. The programs we will build are a serious one, a simple interest calculator, and a silly one, a greeter. This will form another video. Remember to watch the previous videos before you start with these new ones. Also, look at these series of videos one after the other. Without much ado, let us get started. Getting user input. To build an interactive program, we need to get input from the user. We ask some relevant questions to the user and the user could respond to them, and based on these responses, the program will do the promised work. An interactive program allows a user to tell what she wants and change the way the program works according to her wishes. Of course, you are the developer, so you are the final decision maker on what all ways a user can control things or provide input. For now, let's stop worrying about what is the use of doing this. The examples provided in the later videos will illustrate the point. Let us get to some code. Okay, open your REPL. So go to the terminal and open your REPL. Okay, let us start with the customary greeting. Name equal to, you can use your own name. I am using our favorite Tenali. Print, this is F strings. Hello Tenali. So we are done with greeting ourselves. Before we move to the task at hand, I want to explain something quick. In the above example, print is a function, in this case a built-in function, a function directly provided by Python. We pass a string to this function so that it can print it. This pass string is called an argument. Let me show you. Argument. I mean, I'm using the name argument so that you can see that word, but it can be called anything, right? Just now I called it name, you can call it super, whatever you want to call it. So it is print is a function and argument is what you pass to a function, or even you can just pass a direct literal to. Right? Functions when called can take 0 or more arguments, which they will use in doing their work. Here the print function is taking a string and printing it back onto the screen. Other functions may do other things. That's enough of a sidetrack. The only thing I want you to remember in this is the concept of passing arguments to a function. Now let us get back. We want to get an input from the user. So what should we do? Simple. We use the built-in function input. Let me go back to the terminal. S is equal to input. What is happening? Why are we not getting the REPL prompt back? The three greater than symbols. It looks like something got stuck. Let me just hit Control C. Okay, I get an error, but I got my prompt back. Let us forget about the error now and get back to what we want to do. Actually, the missing prompt is not an issue. When we asked Python to get input by calling the built-in method input, it was waiting for taking that input. Let us try it again. S is equal to input. Now let us say I type in Tenali. Now I have entered a string. Now let us see what is the value of it. See, S is Tenali and the type is string. So we are able to see that the value we typed when Python prompted us is stored in the variable S. We also see the type of is string, right? The reason we became clueless earlier when the input prompt is that it was blank and did not give us any clue on what the program wanted us to do. We can remedy that. We can say S equal to input, tell me your name. Now it is prompting us. I can type in Tenali, and then if I ask what is S, it says Tenali. So by giving some text to the built-in function input, we are able to provide some contextual information when we prompt the user to provide some input. Of course, this prompt which I just used is not easy to read. Let us fix that. I'll just use arrow keys. I will put a colon and a space. Now you see it's more readable. I can just type in Tenali here and I should be able to get the value. There is one more thing I want to cover with respect to getting user input. Let us go to n equal to input, give me a number, colon space, then I give you a number. So we are asking the user to enter a number. As a user I do it. Now let us look at the value stored, right, in n. See that quotes, type n. So it's a string. So even though the user entered a number, the Python's input function will always take the input as a string. It is your job as a developer to handle this. You remember our trusty old casting functions? Let us use them. Int n. Now, if you see type of int n, the casting function worked. Now the type you see is int. Let me take another side to here. When I did this, right, type int of n, what I am doing here is first casting the value of n with the int built-in function, this one, right? And then I am passing the output of that function as an argument to the type function. This is called function composition, right? Let me explain that once more. In function composition, the output of one function is passed as an argument or input to the next function, and we can do this any number of times. That is, keep taking an output from one function and pass it as an argument to the next function, which returns some output which can become an argument to the next, and so on. Here is another example. Print int input. So I am actually, see, let me go from the inside. Input, give me a number. So this is going to take input, and this function is going to return the value, right? I am going to pass this to the int function, which will cast it. So I am composing int and input, and then further I can compose that into print. So if f, g and h, so h is a function, you are passing some argument, the output of that is given to g as argument, and the output of g is given as argument to f. That's what is happening here. This is composing functions together, right? So when I do this, I get my prompt. This is provided by input. I enter a number, say 23, and then that is given to the int function, which casted it into an integer, and then that is given to the print, and that's why you see 23 without the quotes. It's printing an integer. Okay, now we have figured out how to collect input from the user of a program. Let us move to the next step of building our executable programs in the next video. If you have any questions or doubts, please use the comments and I will respond to them. Thank you.